to the Clemson Dubcast. It is Thursday, July 28th, as we record this. Looking forward to my last weekend as a human. Fall camp starts in, according to my math, 8 days. Friday, August 5th. I guess I should rephrase, not fall camp, August camp, because it feels nothing like fall right now. At TigerIllustrated.com, currently everything that a Clemson football fan would want or need. Just wrapped up our top 25 player ranking. Miles Murphy in the top spot, edging out Brian Brzee. Of course, Paul Strelo, plenty of recruiting coverage, heading out of a resounding summer showing by this football staff on the trail. My good friends Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhold have been part of the podcast since the beginning, way back in August of 2018. They have an accomplished team of personal injury attorneys at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold, based in Greenville. They are Clemson people, and their skillful attorneys have decades of experience in complicated litigation matters, taking a special interest in medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, and neglect, car accident cases that have left the individuals involved in serious trouble. For a free consultation at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold, call 864-990-4581 or online at parhamlaw.com. That's P-A-R-H-A-M law.com. Want to share a quick word about Founders Federal Credit Union? If you've been to a sporting event in Clemson, you've probably heard about Founders already. They are the official credit union partner of the Clemson Tigers. In addition to that, all Clemson faculty, staff, and students are eligible for membership, as well as IPTAY members. Matt Gross is a proud Clemson alum and the vice president for the Clemson market for Founders Federal Credit Union. Matt's office is located beside the Walmart Neighborhood Market on Old Greenville Highway in Clemson. For more information, go to foundersfcu.com. Solero Communications, formerly known as Tandem Payment, is a full-service integrated electronic payments provider powered by leading-edge technology. Solero provides a wide array of merchant solutions, simplified payments. They make onboarding, taking payments, maintaining risk management and compliance, and getting support quick and easy. At Solero, they're all about helping you achieve sustainable growth as a business. Taking payments isn't the only thing your business needs. With Solero's solutions, you can manage inventory, sell products and services via social media, schedule staff, track sales, get reports, and much, much more. Find out more about Solero at solerocommerce.com. That's C-E-L-E-R-O commerce.com. Okay, we're going to resume the raw audio from the recent assistant coaches interviews at Clemson Media Day. Going to start with Thomas Austin, offensive line coach in his first year. Veteran cornerbacks coach Mike Reed, and then round it out with safeties coach Mickey Conn. Enjoy. Here we go.
I'm ready. Yeah.
I asked this question of Tyler. You know that you're a competitive guy. Last year, Caldwell was the guy, but still your group. Not what you probably would have wanted. A lot of injuries. How driven are you to take this group to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to do what we can do to put the team in the best position to win. You know, and I thought there were times where, we didn't help DJ out up front and the skill around him, you know, and so it's 11 guys doing their job, right? But we say all the time, do your 111. So we're very driven, and more importantly, the guys up front are very driven. We've had a great summer. Those guys, they hear the noise too. You know, they're very driven. They want to make a statement with this season as well. So I think it's been a great off season, and they're ready to go.
What's something that the offensive line group has improved on the most in the spring, and what's your point of emphasis as you head into fall camp?
I think we tried to slow it down a little bit in some of our install, collaborated well with the defense and trying to get back to some of the basics and the fundamentals and the techniques of the position, which is what you do every offseason. And so I think those guys have really bought into some of that. Some of those techniques are new and different from what they've done in the past, and we've changed a few things in our offense, and so some of the techniques are going to change as a result of that. So I think for us, it's kind of hitting that reset button, getting back to the fundamentals, the techniques, and then going into the summer, it's having veteran leadership that can go implement that plan throughout the summer, because we can't be there with them during skills and drills. And so I think those guys have really stepped up to the challenge.
So can you update on the line as a whole, and particularly
Yeah.
What's your sort of outlook for them?
Yeah, well, we're all 100% right now. We after the spring that they did, they call it the gauntlet. They did an evaluation, like functional movement screening on guys, and tested shoulders, knees, ankles, mobility, hip. And so they've done a kind of a prehab program this summer that guys are really responding well to. So Dietrich is progressing well. He's been completely cleared for his knee, and so he's feeling more and more comfortable and confident. And so we're gonna bring him along as fast as we can. It's even if you're 100% cleared, the pounding of football practice every day is going to be something he hasn't really had yet. And so we definitely need to make sure we monitor that and bring him along, in a healthy way.
Is Mitchell Mays kind of a guy out there first at right guard?
Right now we have Brian and Mitchell both slotted as starters, and so our first practice it'll be if Mitchell's the first guy, Brian's the second, and then the next period one of them's going to take the ones reps, one will take the twos, and they'll alternate every single time. The benefit that we have is our two deep defensive line. There's very little drop off. So whether a guy's taking first team reps or second team reps, he's going against great players. So we will evaluate. We evaluate every part of practice, and every day we'll roll out the guy that graded out better. Will be the first guy out there. We do want it to mean something for that guy to be the first guy in the flex lines, the first guy in practice, and then really when you get into your scrimmage situations, sometimes guys separate themselves even more because we're off the field. It's not as controlled environment. You let them play and see who can kind of distance themselves a little bit.
Is Blake Miller doing both tackles right now?
He's been cross training this. Yes, ma'am. He's been cross training this spring. Blake. For young guys like Blake and Colin, you want to kind of leave them in one spot and let them get used to the offense. And then because of our lack of depth right there in the spring game and some sickness that we had, he had to play both sides. That was the first time he's played. So he's been cross training all summer. Yeah, at both tackle spots.
What did Brian do to kind of move into that group and be kind of right there as a coach starter?
Brian Tucker? Yeah, I mean he's I think Mitchell and Brian and Trent, those guys, and John Williams, third year in the system, third year in the offense, third year in our strength program. Tucker has physical tools. He's a big, strong guy. He can move people. And so for him, it's understanding the offense and the finer details of it. So I think from a mental standpoint, he's taken that next step, which is what's really helped him. And then a guy like Mitchell has worked really hard, but he's also been kind of a putty guy, play tackle and guard. And so we tried to leave him at guard as much as we could for the spring to give him a fair shot, and see how he feels. And same way, John was a tackle this time last year that ended up playing guard and was doing really well before he got hurt.
You got to make sure Putt gets his reps and get ready for Georgia Tech. Who are the guys you got to bring along behind him, and how do you make sure they all get the reps that they need?
Yeah, so right now, kind of Trent Howard and Ryan Lithicum are both taking second and third team reps, and so those guys have had a really good offseason. They're both really had a high commitment level, so we've been pleased with that. So similar to Brian and Mitchell, those guys will rotate who gets the second and third team reps. And that's exactly right. You want to get, Putnam as many reps as you can and get him ready, but also other opportunities to maybe throw one of those guys out there with the first team. Again, the good thing is we have a lot of depth on the defensive line, so there's not a big drop off from that first to second team guy. So whoever's getting those reps is going to go against a good opponent. So I think that helps.
As far as Marcus Tate, is Marcus Tate so partially tackled, or is he almost tackled?
Well, he's going to get as many reps as he can at guard. Jordan McFadden's a fifth-year guy, so there might be some pockets in this fall where, we kind of slide him out a little bit and put Tristan in there, give Tristan some first-team reps, get Marcus out there a little bit, because that's, always – last year it was, you always as an indicator that injuries can happen and will happen. And so who is your next best tackle if something were to happen to Jordan or Will Putnam? What's your best option? Is it Tristan? Is it Blake? Is it sliding Marcus out there? So that's the benefit of cross-training is you get to see guys playing multiple positions. But you also, he's going to be our starting left guard, it looks like, unless something changes and some other guy comes along. And so you want to make sure he is feeling really confident at that position.
Can you talk about being a freshman playing on guard like he was last year? How difficult is that? Yeah. How much do you think he learned next week?
Yeah, well, it doesn't get any harder than going against Georgia, game one, right? They had some great players. So I think he really learned a lot about himself. and the ups and downs and playing big time college football, right? So he's I think he's in a really good headspace. He's a committed guy. It means a lot to him, and so he doesn't want to let the team down. And so I think it's gonna this year it's gonna be his mindset's gonna be completely different. I think it's gonna really pay off for him.
I know you can't talk about specific recruits, but just going out for me, obviously he's going pretty well. What's that been like getting back on the road, and what's kind of your message been that you feel like has been working so well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly been encouraging to see that our brand is strong and that our message resonates with the right guys and the right families. Yeah, it was, with all this NIL and portal stuff and the college landscape is up in the air a little bit and there's some confusion. Coach Sweeney said the other day, the more chaotic college football becomes, the more attractive Clemson will become to the right guys. And I think we've been able to identify the right guys that fit our culture, fit our program, the right families that fit our program. And then I think there's affirmation through the summer that those guys really want to be at Clemson. So I think it's been very encouraging for us.
Can you expound a little upon what he meant or what he's saying by that? I'm sure if you'd rather, I can just ask him.
No. I mean, you can certainly ask him. I think everyone knows that there's a lot of question marks going on in college football, and a lot of people that are making, a lot higher on the totem pole than me are making those decisions, right? So there's questions, and then I think the other aspect for us was this was the most turnover we've had on our staff since 2011, and so what I wasn't aware of until we really got on the road was there's a lot of people talk. I mean, everyone talks about Clemson. There's more negative recruiting going on than I realized because we talk about Clemson. We don't talk about other people. And so I think there were people that were trying to kind of expose some chinks in the armor for Clemson that, hey, that this is the beginning of the end for us. And so I think it was good affirmation for us to be like, hey, there's a lot of questions, but we're well positioned with NIL. We have best facilities in the country. We have great resources that our guys are going to come here and have incredible opportunities. But we're not leading with those conversations, right? It's about our culture. It's about the education. It's about the fit. It's about Paul Jordy. It's about everything else that Clemson has to offer. And so that's attractive for the right guys.
So you guys aren't in the Big Ten yet, right?
We're unless you know something I don't.
You talked about the staff. Even though there was a lot of turnover, it's guys who've been working together with each other around here for a while. So the transition inside probably doesn't seem as crazy as for some on the outside, though.
Exactly. Yeah, Pete, that's a good question. And I didn't just start coaching football in January either. That's the other thing. There's a lot of guys that know Clemson, that know our program, that know our brand, know our culture, and then also know football, right? And so Kyle Richardson's coached a lot of football. Brandon Streeter's coached a lot of football. I've coached a lot of football, experienced a lot of football. We have CJ and Tyler, and so I think we've got a great staff. Wes Goodwin. I mean, Wes Goodwin knows a ton of football, right? And so just because people outside the building didn't know who he was, just look at. I saw something. Maybe Mike Jones said something in the SEC Media Day about Wes. It just shows you the respect that guys in our program have for him, because they're around him every day. If he didn't know what he was doing, they would tell you, right? I mean, Mike Jones has no reason to say that if it's not true. So there's a ton of we like it. It's that little bit of an underdog mentality, but there's a lot of confidence in our building, about who we have and on the field and who we have coaching.
For you guys, in particular, you, CJ, Tyler, you all played together.
Yeah.
Here at Clemson. How does that help the cohesion on the sideline? You guys are communicating.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We started all-in meetings yesterday, and hearing Coach Sweeney kind of go back to the basics of the program. And, Tyler was here in 2008 for his interim year, and then CJ and I were here in 2009, his first year as the head coach, and a lot of the foundational principles that he was trying to lay. And so, it ties into recruiting our players. Like, we've lived it. We've been through it. We were here for the transition. And so I think we can relate to our players. We know what they're going through. And then also I think, we know each other well. I know Tyler well. I know CJ well. And so there's a mutual respect there and a love for each other that I think if there's not chemistry in your staff, I think the players pick up on that. And so when you have good camaraderie and chemistry on your staff, I think that bleeds into your offense, to your defense, and to the team as a whole.
How many of the players know you guys are not only Clemson guys, you played together. How do you guys
I think they all know it. I mean, we've talked about it. You know, we have 27 current former players on staff. That's something we talk about a lot. And so I think they know that, and I think there's a certain pride level there for those guys. You know, and you know, we also speak often about what the paw means to us, and you know, we challenge our guys, like, you know, if you're putting that on your pads, you know, it means something to us, and it should mean something to you. And so I think they understand the weight of that.
If you didn't have to take anything else into consideration and you were the only one that kind of got to call this decision, how many offensive linemen scholarship would you ideally get? Oh,
that's a good question. Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people are 15 to 16 is kind of a good number. So I think, you know, we're trying to get it back up there, you know, to 15, 16. And so, you know, but then again, it's just, you know, making sure. I think the other part of that is you want to make sure you're taking a fairly consistent amount every year. If you take 2 and 3 a year for a couple of years in a row, then you got to go get 5 or 6. And so sometimes your quality can be affected by that. So, you know, I think we want to take, you know, you want to take 3 or 4 guys every single year just to kind of keep that where you want. And the reality, too, is that you're going to have attrition. It's a violent position to play. And so you also have to keep that in mind as well.
I'm sorry if you were asked this, but are you guys set with Putnam at center and you're not looking to the portal?
No, Putnam's been great. No, and, you know, the portal's expired, right? You can't, so unless they were in the portal beforehand. But no, we feel good about Putt where he is, and yeah, so we got all we need right now.
How valuable is it for your offensive line to be able to go against guys like Brian Murphy, Miles Murphy, guys that are projected first-round picks in the NFL? Is that healthy competition really help your offensive line improve as a whole? And like, how can you describe that kind of competition?
Sure. Yeah, it's. I mean, our guys aren't overwhelmed on game day. You know, I think that's the big thing is you see a team, you're watching a team, you're working against that in preparation that week, and then you get on the field, and sometimes like, oh man, these guys are way better than we thought they were. But very rarely have we gotten into a game and been overwhelmed. You know, we started playing Alabama, Ohio State in the playoffs, and like, hey, coach, we got better players on our team. So it certainly creates competitive advantage for us. It really forces those guys, whether you know, Jordan McFadden is pretty solidified in that left tackle spot, right? I mean, he's a very solid player, but Jordan has to show up every single day. He might not be afraid of losing his position to someone on our team, but if he doesn't show up, Miles or KJ or Maskell or XT, I mean, those guys are going to expose him, make him look bad. So I think that healthy competition has given us a competitive edge, and we talk about in recruiting too, like, hey, iron sharpens iron. You're going to play against the best players every single day, and that's what you want, you know, because it makes you better.
Thomas, you mentioned Jordan. He's a guy we're going to hear from tomorrow. How invaluable is it to have someone like that who's not only a leader on the field, but a leader off the field?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's from an hour away down in Spartanburg, and so he knows Clemson. He believes in Clemson. He's been in a program for 5 years, so he's a very committed guy, and he's just very consistent. You know, he just shows up every single day. I mean, you know, a lot of things people don't talk about a lot. He got stingers and bruises and banged and dislocated fingers. You know, all that stuff happens as the season goes on, and he just keeps playing. You know, and so and then he's a great leader for our team. Him and Putnam and Parks are all great leaders. Sometimes they need to become more vocal, but Jordan is a guy that doesn't just lead by example. He brings other guys with him. So if he's coming in Saturday and getting some extra work, or he's going to the castle and doing recovery, he's bringing other guys along with him. And so he's demonstrating to other guys what it takes to be a great player. And he's taking those guys in the film room and watching extra film with them. And so he's an invaluable asset to our team. And one of the reasons our summer has been so good is because you have those 3 guys in particular who are leading the charge. We can't be out there in the summer. And so you have to have strong veteran leadership that can carry on the drills that you want done and do it the right way.
Does he have some of those coach on the field tendencies that you lean on in particular?
He does, yeah. I mean, all 3 of those guys are they're very knowledgeable. They know what they're doing, and so he does a great job kind of bringing along those young guys.
Thomas, if somebody would have told you in the spring that y'all would not get somebody out of the portal to sort of shore up that interior line, would you have been surprised?
No, I don't think I would have been surprised. I mean, I think, you know, we had a very specific criteria that we were looking for, and really feel like 1 or 2 guys fit that criteria. And so, But at the end of the day, knew that, hey, we've got 13 guys, 14 guys, plus some really good walk-ons that will give us the depth that we need. And so some of that's just challenging. Putnam, I think I was probably surprised at how well Putnam took over the center job, and then it was also good to see, Ryan Linthicum and Trent Howard really kind of starting to take that next step, because that's the other part of it, is the depth behind them is what you're concerned about.
His snaps, could you maybe more give an idea of the frequency of the bad snaps, how it...
Yeah, we tracked it every day. We call it ball in jeopardy. Anytime a guy puts the ball on the ground, whether it's quarterback or running back, we track it. And so from a center standpoint, he averaged about one a day for the first kind of 10 days of practice, which, when you think about the number of snaps he's taken, is really good. And like I said, maybe early in the spring, when he missed early on, it was low, which you can. It's not ideal, but you can deal with that. When I had issues as a player, I snapped it over the head. That's a problem, right? So, but then one thing is, in the spring game, didn't have a single bad snap. And so he knows it and he feels it, which is always a good sign. And then I mentioned earlier on the radio, I watched some spring games this year, and you watch some of these guys' spring games, and they've got 8, 6, 7, 8 bad snaps in a spring game, and that's something you don't notice, and you should notice, because it should be routine. And then the reports from this summer have been excellent, and so because Putnam's a guy that he's going to take every rep full speed. Some young centers have issues when if you're going half speed and you're practicing your snapping, everything can be fine. Well, now you speed it up, and you've got Brian Brzee across from you, and the tendency is to snap it harder and higher, but he takes full speed reps every time. It hasn't been an issue.
That's the biggest difference compared to Bachhorst last year. It's just simply the Will had his entire.
Yeah, I think it certainly helps. Bach kind of got in there. He kind of dabbled in it through the spring, but he didn't get many competitive reps in the spring. And so to have 15 extra practices plus the entire summer with the mindset that I'm going to be the starting center, I think is a big difference. Because Bach is, you can't thank Bachhorst enough for what he did. Very unselfish, but he was in a tough position. Some of that was Mason Trotter broke his hand in camp and some of those things. So he did what the team needed him to do. So I think that's probably the difference between him and Putt. It's just the opportunities that he's had to master those skills.
I was talking to Sean Elliott. He was telling me about at Georgia State doing something called the safe chair for players, so they can just say whatever they want to say. Do you remember why you implemented that? And is there anything similar at Clemson?
Well, I stole it straight from Coach Sweeney, so it's very similar. So, it's funny he said that, because he used to give me a hard time about it. Coach Sweeney called it the safe seat, and so we would do that throughout summer, where he would just put a little chair down there, and one of our guys would come down there and he'd ask questions, and then the team could ask questions. It's just a way of getting to know your teammates, building those relationships with each other. So when I got down to Georgia State, I felt like there was a little bit of we need to build the camaraderie within the offensive line room. And so that was something we did during training camp. It also breaks up the tedium and monotony of camp and allows guys to see different sides. Then you got to be willing. I jumped in the safe seat, and so the idea is any question that is asked, you have to answer it. So it was just a way to build a relationship within the O-line room.
Have you done anything in Clemson to try that?
No, but we've got some stuff planned, for training camp as you get more time. Spring is always a time where you're pressed. You're that 20-hour rule, whereas in training camp that rule goes away and you have more time with the guys.
How important is that camaraderie just offensive line?
Yeah, it's critical. It's critical. I felt like part of it was a byproduct of COVID. When I felt like the O-line room was a little bit disjoined, just from COVID and guys living away from each other and all that stuff. And so we've tried to be very intentional about doing stuff together as a group. And we had guys that would go, hey guys, I'm grilling out this weekend. Who wants to show up? And then the guys wouldn't show up. So it wasn't a lack of trying. And so I think some of these younger guys got to realize that, hey man, this is this isn't do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. Like if you need to spend time with your teammates, and when you know what a guy's been through and you can empathize, you put yourself in their shoes, then then your respect for them grows, and I think your love for them grows as well. So I think that's critical.
Tom, can you kind of reflect on your first few months as an on-the-road recruiter and maybe why that's led to some success in the 23 class at your position?
Yeah, well, I think we've had success because we have a great product to sell, number one. But I think we try to be very specific in what we're looking for, and because we have a very specific criteria and we have a lot of boxes to check, that eliminates a lot of guys before we get on the road. And then I think we are very successful in getting guys here for fall, getting guys here in the spring. You have a couple events that you want to try to get guys to, because it shows that they're very interested in Clemson, and then it also gives you an opportunity to spend time with them. When you go on the road in April and May, you can't have any interaction with prospects. And so when you get them on campus, you can hang out with them all day. And so I think that's part of building that thing up. So when you see them, the 23 class, for instance, when you see them in the spring, it's more just it's affirmation, confirmation that you're on the right guys. And then you're also kind of building that who are the next couple guys if we miss out on a few and stuff like that. So, it's always, nothing replaces getting to see a guy in person, the film and all that stuff.
What's maybe something from your recruitment to Clemson that you've used, good or bad, in your role as a recruiter now?
Yeah, well, I think, I'm able to tell guys that, when I was being recruited, first of all, I always ask myself, would I have recruited myself? I don't know if I would have, but we're at a different level now. But where we are as a program is very different than where we were in 2005. And so as I'm having conversations with guys, one of the things I want to know is, does this guy want to play for championships? And so when I was coming to Clemson, I had other schools that were giving me opportunities to maybe play early, but those schools were just trying to get to a bowl game. Clemson was trying to win an ACC championship. We're trying to win championships every year. We're going to win championships every year. So you're looking for guys that want to compete and aren't afraid of competition and want to go win championships, because that's important. Obviously the education part of it, but do you want to go win a championship? And are you not afraid of that competition? When you have a guy that's, Anna asked about, if a guy's always asking, hey, coach, how many guys are you going to take? What are your numbers? Then, is this guy afraid of competing, or is he waiting for us to fill up, or what? But when you got guys that want to go compete and know that it's a process, of becoming a great offensive lineman, I think that's always a good thing in recruiting.
Coach, how important has it been to the offensive line to have this established momentum, especially from last season? 6 straight wins, having 100+ rushing yards per game in those wins. It's really important for the offensive line going into the spring and now fall camp to have that kind of momentum established. Hey, we've been there, done that. Yeah. To pick up where they left off.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, one thing we say every year is you got to restart. You got to rebuild the house. That last year's touchdowns don't carry over. But I do think there's a confidence in we had to run the football, we did. And so I think as an offensive line group, we want to run the ball when we want to and when we have to, and we want to protect the quarterback. And so, we know that a balanced attack gives you the most opportunity. And so, I think one thing is you can't control what play is called, but you just do your job on that play. And so everyone talks about balance. Balance is important. But all those guys, they want to run the football, and they want to impose their will on another team. So to be able to do that down the stretch, I think was encouraging, especially after the slow start. Yeah.
This may be a dumb question, but I'm guessing at this point, taking someone from the transfer portal is probably its best.
Yes, we're no longer looking, in the portal.
Did they get close with anyone or any guys?
There are a few guys that we were, talks to. Obviously, we brought a young man in and did the whole process with him, and he went somewhere else. And then there were a couple of guys that we talked to throughout the year. But we are very, very specific. We want to build through our team. We want to build through high schools. That's our portals in the locker room, because Sweet says all the time. And the portal for us was just, the injury with Hunter Rayburn, Mason's situation, and not being able to play some games this year. That, is there a fifth-year veteran guy out there that would fill that need? Let's see if it is, because at the end of the day, what's the best thing for our team? But we weren't going to compromise what we were looking for, and we certainly weren't looking for a second or third-year developmental guy, because we like those guys on our roster. It's just a matter of finding a veteran. Didn't find them, that's fine. We got enough guys on our team that we can do everything we need to do.
Can you describe the season that you're expecting to have for Jordan this year?
Jordan, yeah. I think Jordan's undoubtedly one of the best tackles in the country. If Jordan was 6'6", he would be ranked the best tackle in the country, I believe. So he gets nixed a little bit because he doesn't have the prototypical size. But he's a ultra competitive kid, very committed to our team, very committed to his craft and becoming a great player. And so I think he's going to have a tremendous year. And he's not going to surprise anyone in our building because we all know what he's about. But I think there's going to be a lot of people outside our building that are surprised at the recognition that he gets, that he deserves.
What does it mean to have like a local guy be so successful in this program?
Yeah, it means everything. I mean, I was involved in Jordan's recruitment. He was committed to another school initially, and we had told him, hey, there's some things that we want to see from you, and he did those things, and we offered him his senior year, and he chose to come to Clemson. So, again, we want to win the state first and foremost in recruiting, and a guy being an hour down the road, he grew up watching Clemson. He knows what Clemson's about, and he's a great ambassador for our program.
How refreshing is it for you going into fall camp with the offensive line being relatively healthy, not having to worry about whether or not you're going to have to check one of the players into a triage?
Sure. No, you want to be healthy going into camp, absolutely, and we are. Which is good. I mean, we only got Dietrich. We got a couple guys that are coming off of surgeries. So you got like Dietrich and John Williams, but they had them early in the year, and so they've been fully cleared. Went through spring. John went all the way through spring practice. Dietrich, we tried to build up, and so he's going to be full go as well. So yeah, we're in a very good spot from an injury standpoint.
How about Sadler? He was hurt in the spring, wasn't he?
Sadler got sick. He got sick, yes, sir. So no injuries, but had a sickness. Had someone on our team get mono, and we thought he might have it, but he didn't have it. So, but then he's a tough kid. He came back and practiced once, and then played in our spring game, and he had not gotten many reps for a couple weeks before that.
All right, thanks, TA.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
If you're in the Eastern Midlands and PD area and you're in any way interested in buying and selling a home, commercial property, land, need to consider reaching out to Uptown Realty. They're based out of Sumter and run by a friend of mine, Patrick Enzer, big Clemson guy, used to cover the Tigers in a newspaper capacity, longtime supporter of Tiger Illustrated, longtime listener to the Dubcast. The home buying process should be an enjoyable experience, so let Patrick and his staff do all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 803-774-0435 or go to uptownrealtysc.com. When you're ready for a complete renovation in your home or business, open the door to more with Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Their local experienced team will totally transform any room space, from beautiful floor coverings to construction to finished details. Harris handles every step of your renovation process, whether it's a kitchen or living room or an industrial or educational setting, like some of the positively stunning work they've done at Clemson University. Go to discoverharris.com and experience a total renovation transformation from Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham Smith and Archambault. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507.
Jeadyn Lukus is good. He had a minor injury. He'll be back, looking for big things out of him. He's going to add a lot of depth through this secondary unit, which is going to be very good. Yes.
Did he have surgery?
Yeah, he had a little minor scope, but it was one of the things just to clean some things up. But he's back working out and should be ready for the season. Just something that was lingering. We just rested him a little bit, but everybody's 100% and they're working.
What would you say about the development of Nate Wiggins? What has he done this year that's really impressed you? How does he take that long-term
He's put on some weight. Nate's always had the physical ability, could run, could jump, could do all the athletic things. But on this level, you got to have some size to you, and it's one of those kind of transitions you have to make from high school to college. And he's now bought into the nutrition side of it, and you can tell the way he looks.
What did you hear about Jeadyn and Toriano and how they performed during the summer? I know you guys can't be out there. You got any feedback on how they
Well, towards the tail end of spring, with the injuries we had at the secondary and corners, you saw Toriano step up, make plays, showed people, the reason why he was here. We all went to St. Louis to get him, and he's a good asset. Jeadyn Lukus, he's doing what he's supposed to do. When the offense talks about you, it's a good thing. Yeah. We're going to put the best 11 out there, and if putting another safety down in a nickel slot position, and so be it. We're going to utilize every person we have.
Your personnel has improved on this spring, and what's your area of emphasis going into fall?
Can you say that?
What is your position group improved on the most in the spring, and what's your area of emphasis going into summer?
Well, I can't really say too much about what they've improved on, since the spring practice, because I've not been able to watch any of their workouts. So it's going to be interesting. It's like a kid running downstairs on Christmas. You want to see what's in the presents.
Who's going to be that leader in your room?
Probably Sheridan. Just because he's been here the longest. He's he's been the guy that's had starter snaps, and guys are going to lean on him. He's been through the ringer, so for him it's a sign of maturity, and he's already accepted that and leading the guys.
Like, how has your day-to-day changed adding the assistant head coach title in top
It's just some more opportunity for me to spread the brand. It's like, Coach Sweeney's, extended arms. When he can't do something, Coach Reed will go in and fill in for him. And it's, I've been here the longest, so I've seen the program for a long time. And actually, before that, I was on the other side, so I was able to see it in a different light. So nothing much has changed, so it's been pretty good, though.
How's the dynamic change this offseason with essentially a new group of guys? Coach Conn,
Well, we've been together for a while, so it's really nothing new. Next man up motto, and it's one of those things where we're going to fight for each other because, we want to see each other succeed.
Mike, you walk us through the process of evaluating a guy like Liam Boyd, who hasn't played much football at all, but has incredible potential from what I've seen?
Well, he came to camp, and you knew right then and there from as they say, the pop of the football off his foot that he was special. He has a lot of leg strength. Actually took a year, went down to IMG and competed on a national stage. So for him, it's just making that transition down to Clemson. And then the competition factor of kicking in front of, 88,000 people, But he is very promising. He has a good skill set. So it's up to us to make sure that we enhance it and put the best product on the field.
Yeah, I know you haven't gone to a camp with fall camp, I should say.
Right.
But from what you have been able to see, where does he have room for improvement that just comes with not playing football for a long time?
Well, the thing is being accurate. Like I said, being able to kick in front of a crowd of 88,000, which is a lot different than maybe 10, and so that'll probably have to be his transition. But, for a young man of his caliber, he'll be okay.
Mike, when you have young, very talented guys like Jeadyn and Toriano, what are the things that you're looking to see from them in their first full?
Effort, competition, toughness, coachability. Guys who are going to be able to take what we coach in the classroom and be able to put it to use on the field. As I tell these young men, hey, I recruited you for a reason. I want to see you play. So for me, it's, getting them out there and letting them play, seeing it in live action against another team.
Can you tell with guys like that when the light comes on?
You really don't know. You just have to throw them out there, and hopefully that, as a young kid, they have those natural instincts where they can swim, and you've seen it, you can't, that they'll be okay, the kid is fast. You know, that's the one thing I hear. He's fast and he's physical. So with those attributes right there, I love it. You know, because like I said, at the end of the day, that's what Coach Sweeney pays me to do is coach. You know, give me the things that I can't teach, you know, as far as the natural things. Everything else is fine from there.
You want young men who represent the brand well, having a guy like Jeadyn who's from right up the road involved. What does that do for your cornerback room, and what type of ambassadors do you be for this program?
Well, one, it gives the young kids in his community, you know, a sense that, you know, if Jeadyn can do it, I can do it, you know, and you want to be able to play with in-state players. You know, you don't want to have to go and recruit all over the place for guys. You know, you want to be able to recruit your hometown kid and let his ability of, you know, what he did in high school, you know, come to college with him.
Coach, sorry if you asked this already, but Jeadyn Lukus, is there a ton of time to return himself?
Right now, he's on track to be ready for camp. You know, he's been working out and doing all those types of things, so he'll be ready. Yes.
Fred Davis came in highly recruited. You know, what did you see from him in the spring, and what's he got to do?
Well, what I liked about Fred is, you know, Fred has grown up. You know, it was never his physical ability. It was more of his mental capacity, and he's actually turned the corner and is mature. You know, and that's what you want to see. You want to see the growth these young men make, and he's actually done it. And so I like his focus right now, and I like where he's at, and I'm looking for a big season out of him.
What are you looking for out of Malcolm? What does he have to do to take that next step?
Well, to be 100% healthy, you know, and what you like about Malcolm is going to give you everything he has, regardless of if he's 100%, 10%, you know. But you know, right now he's healthy. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the old Malcolm running around there, you know, passionate, you know, getting the most out of his players, you know. So I'm looking forward to seeing him participate in fall camp.
Did Fred go through a humbling process last year, would you say?
Yeah. You know, yeah. You know, a lot of times young men feel like, you know, they can bring the same thing from high school to college, and you can't. You know, it's a new scheme, a new system, a new place, and you know the things that you once did when you were young are not going to be the same things that keep you successful on this level. So you got to continue to grow, and for him, you know, it was. You know, he'll probably he'll probably tell you the same thing, that you know he was humble. You know, that he thought that the things that he did in high school were going to automatically be the same things that he does here to make him successful.
Two five-star freshmen, Lukus and Brian, stood out
athleticism, you know, the willing to compete, the maturity. So those things, and then just the physicalness. You know, guys can run, can jump, and so it's been a pleasure to watch him, you know, watch him grow.
Wes, you went as a defensive coordinator. What did you learn about him as a leader?
Well, Wes, like I said, we've been here a long time, so it's not really nothing new for us learning about him. You know, because you know, when a lot of people didn't know much about him, heck, you know, we've been here sitting in the back of the room for a long time. So for me, it's an honor, because now to see a young man, you know, get an opportunity to voice his opinion, for people to hear who he is, you know, for him to stand out.
Nobody should be loafing.
You might be in trouble.
Probably, you know, from a totality from top to bottom, yeah.
Soriano is being kind of maybe you guys obviously have some success in the summer. Do you feel like the guys that you got kind of similar to him?
They are not as put together for us physically as Toriano, but athletically, yes. Guys that can do multiple things, very athletic. You know, guys that can go out and play on the edge or go in and play in the slot. So, you know, it's good to see it, you know. It's like having a bag of Skittles. You know, you never know what you're gonna get, but at the end, they're sweet. They're sweet.
Is Toriano one of the most physically ready players you've had across?
Yeah. besides Mackenzie Alexander, yes.
Is Nate Wiggins, is he ready for the edge of campus?
He'd be one of those guys that has an opportunity. Yes. Right now, there's not a depth chart. I don't want to put anything on anyone right now. I want to keep an open competition.
Does that go with Sheridan on the other side too?
Sheridan would probably be a guy that'll run out there. Yes. He's earned it. But like anything, they've got to go out there and they've got to compete every day. I don't want a guy to feel like he's made it. So I want that competition factor all the way up until the start of the first game.
I know Fred Davis was let out a little bit during the spring. Do you feel like game speed-wise, playing shape,
He's from what I've been told, everybody's healthy. Everybody's ready to go. They've got a race planned at the end of the semester with all the corners and the safeties. So he says he's going to be the fastest one. So we'll see.
Who's your betting on that?
Nate. Nate. Yeah. Till somebody proves me wrong.
Coach, what did you know about West from the back of the room, as you said, that people didn't know yet?
Extremely smart. I mean, when it comes down to football knowledge, he is a man that has a lot of knowledge, and he can regurgitate something that was 10 years ago. That you may not say typically the same way, and West would already say it before you said it. So that's what a lot of people are going to be shocked.
You seem like a whiz kid or a future coordinator, or both?
Both. Coming from the NFL, he has the attributes of an NFL coordinator.
What's the mood around this building if you guys head into fall camp?
I mean, I think everybody's, right now upbeat, ready for football. There's a lot of remodeling going around here. Guys' bodies are changing. Guys are growing up, seeing the young kids. So it's kind of like a buzz.
There's a lot of talk that from the outside that Clemson's time has passed. Do you guys use that as coaches to kind of create that chip going into the season? Or do you have to say anything?
I don't think we have to say anything because of the standard. It's been set, and I think guys, want to live up to that standard. So I don't think we get into what people say. There's a lot of competition within this building. So I think as long as we have that, we'll always have a chip on our shoulder.
You mentioned everybody competing for starting. What are you looking for from guys to kind of elevate us to that starting level?
Consistency. I want guys that can do it over and over and over and over again, because then that builds trust in me. So now I can trust them. That's what I want to see, So that's what, those guys are working for, to be consistent.
What did the two guys who took the NFL this past year, what did they, give to the group? What are the current guys maybe taking from that learning?
Well, the good thing about them is you see Mario Goodrich, who comes in, and he doesn't become a true starter till his senior year. A guy that just stuck with it. So now, guys are learning perseverance, and then from Booth, they're learning the physicality, things of that nature. And so it's a good thing. And then you have those guys, other guys like A.J. Terrell, Mackenzie Alexander, who, have set a precedence for what a corner at Clemson is supposed to look like.
Nick Eason, as a coach, as a recruiter, what have you learned about him since y'all have been full-time staff?
Well, I've known him for a while, so it's nothing shocks me. He's a great man, a great coach, and I'm glad that he's on our team.
Well, why do you think his personality appeals, to younger guys?
Because you can relate to him. Here goes a man who's played in the NFL. Now he's coaching college. So a lot of these young men have aspirations on going to the NFL. So why not go play for a guy who's actually done it? So guys are apt to want to go, and he makes it fun. So I would want to play for him.
Coach, what has it been like for the corners to be able to play against these kind of tall, athletic kind of receivers receivers, having that experience, maybe going on one-on-one rep with like Justin Ross, who's on the path to the NFL right now. How is that helping competition help your group improve as a whole?
As they say, iron sharpens iron. You know, when you go against the best every day in practice, when it's time to line up on Saturday, the stage is not too big. You know, so that's a plus for us. You know, in recruiting is, you know, like I said, a lot of guys want to go play in the NFL. Well, what better way to go to the NFL than practice against an NFL guy, caliber person every day? So now, like I said, when the opportunity comes, you're ready for it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jeadyn, was he able to kind of put on any weight? Some of that not a priority?
That really wasn't a priority because he's already 190 pounds.
Okay.
So he's already physically got that size that you want.
Playbook is the main thing.
Yeah.
Staying engaged.
Yeah. He's got to get, you know, with him learning the playbook, but now applying it to the field because he missed a lot of time for the injury. So that's going to be his catch-up point is now he's got to make that transition from the classroom to actually put it to use on the field.
Dabo said, I think maybe one talented guys in the talent perspective, so I think it's about polishing him up. Kind of one of those steps over the summer maybe that you talked about exit games and you want to see him.
Well, you know, as far as one, get physically stronger, you know, like flexibility, working on that type of stuff. And then, like I said, watching a lot of film. Because a lot of these kids don't know anything about watching film. They're just going there, turn the film on, and they don't know what they're doing, you know. And that's one of the reasons, like, you know, I'm glad that I'm back because now we can start working with him, you know. So.
Jeadyn Jones, kind of the ringleader in that aspect.
Yeah, he's the oldest, you know. He's, you know, and guys lean on him because he's been here, he's done it, you know. So, and he's actually, you know, opened up a little bit more, you know, because, like I said, he's done a lot of the things that we've asked. So those young guys who are still starry-eyed, you know, they lean on him for guidance. In between him and Malcolm Green, you know. So we'll see. We just got to make sure we put the right guys on the field and have that chemistry. He's healthy. I don't know, you know, as far as his, you know, what Mickey's playing for him, you know. So thank you. What's up, dog? Yeah, man. Huh? Did you? Yeah, which is good. Hold on. Good, how you doing?
Well, let me sit down this camera and they'll shake your hand.
You're like the one-man band.
Yes, sir. Gotta wear a lot of hats. But I kind of like it.
It's cool.
It's I like having the ability to. It's all on my shoulders. You know, if something bad happens, it's because of me. Someone else screwed up something because of me. I like having all that.
Okay.
I'm Mitchell, by the way.
Mitchell, Mike Reed. Pleasure
nice
to meet
you, sir.
Pleasure.
I'll ask you a couple quick questions and I'll get this thing out of your face. How's that sound?
All right.
All right. So, overall expectations for the secondary and the secondary.
We got to be dominant. You know, we got to hold our end of the bargain. You know, we've got a very good defensive line in front of us. So quarterback won't have a lot of time. So we got to hold our end of the stick up and make sure the receivers don't catch it or it's intercepted.
How much does it help what you do on the back end, the front side? You know, they're going to be one of the best defensive lines in the country. So, you know, you're getting maybe 3 seconds. You guys got to be like real lockdown coverage. Right. I'm sure that helps you guys a lot.
Well, it does because, you know, in our minds, the defensive back, you know, it's, you know, cover as long as it takes. But when you know that your defensive line is putting pressure to the point where that quarterback doesn't have that much time, then we feel good, because now we feel like, hey, man, we don't have to go above and beyond to do what we do.
What kind of expectations do these D-backs put on their shoulders? Because they're looking at the A.J. Terrells, they're looking at the Booths,
Right.
they're looking at the guys that have been here recently, and I'm
Right.
sure they're trying to say, hey, we'll be right there with you.
Exactly. Well, like I said, the standard's been set, and for our guys is we don't want to be the weakest link, and then when you have those guys that went before you, who have done it, it makes it even more, of a challenge to say, you know what, I can't let my brothers down.
So, of course, new defensive coordinator. Just give me an idea as to what will be the differences between what Venables was running Coach Goodwin's direction.
Well, it's basically almost a mirror image. You'll see a lot of similarities, and then you'll see some things that'll be a little bit different. But my thing is, I got to keep that in-house. I can't tell everybody what we're doing, but you'll see some similarities, but you'll also see some newness about our defense.
I understand there's only so much you guys can give. I'd like to see you guys win games. I don't want to throw away the key to all these other teams. Yeah, I understand. He's a young guy, realistically speaking, from coaching. I think he's only 34 right now.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives an idea that this guy is talented. A lot of people have believed in him to kind of fast track this process for him to get here. So describe to me, for someone who's on the outside, what you guys are experiencing on the inside.
Well, you're getting a guy that has a wealth of knowledge, football knowledge. The one thing we kid about him is we say he has like 10 to 15 different playbooks in his brain. Because he'll be able to regurgitate, things from different playbooks, and you're like, yo, how in the heck did you remember that? But he's a very talented young coach, very promising. Reminds me a lot of an NFL coordinator. Just his demeanor, his makeup.
To be around a guy that's like so on fire for football, I'm sure it has to be refreshing.
Most definitely. Because you're in the foxhole with somebody that's a fighter. And in this game, that's what you want. You want to be surrounded with people that have the same type of ambition you have and the passion you have for the game. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting for one team.
Shoot, I don't have any questions. Anything you'd like to say? Somebody thinks someone no asked you?
No, man, we're pretty good, man. Appreciate it, big dog.
Appreciate you, man.
How you feel about your special teams this year?
We should be one of the best. We've got a great group of talent, and we're going to put it together, and we're going to put the best guys out there, and the product is going to be very good, very good.
Do you see going making your pitch ball coming in?
Right now, there's we've got a couple of guys that'll be back there vying for position. So right now, nothing's set. So we're I'm just as anxious as you, because I want to see those guys compete and see who comes out on top.
I know last year special teams were one of the top in the country, and that's what we want to know. Where do you stand as far as I know that's not more of a depth type thing,
right?
But do you go into a depth with special teams like backups?
Well, you do, but right now there's nothing set. We'll get out there and because the one thing about it is we haven't had the opportunity to watch them work out. So when we get them in 2 weeks, now we'll be able to say, okay, who's here, who's there, but we're going to put our best guys out there.
What do you see Potts this year as far as kickers? Do we have a good backup plan for Potts?
I mean, he's an elder statesman, and he's one of the best in the country, and so we're going to lean on him. Not only his expertise, but also the fact that his seniority. He's been here. He's a fifth-year senior, so which is basically ancient nowadays. You don't see too many fifth-year seniors. But for that young man to come back, it means he believes in his team, and he wants to go out on top. Thank you.
We're glad to have you here.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Oh, you're all right.
Coach, I missed the beginning of that question. I want to make sure I had it right. You were saying that it's important for guys, if they want to play in the NFL, to compete against other talented guys.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
It's like a rubber band. You don't know how strong a rubber band is until you pull it. So these kids have to be in a situation where they get pulled every day. That's the only way you're gonna get better. Because if you don't continue to grow and strain yourself, then you'll just stay the same. So, and then like I said,
you cover some of those receivers. You're right. You find out fast.
And when we go against those bigger schools or the so-called other Power 5 schools, the moment's not too big for them. Because half the time that's what happens. The first 5 or 10 minutes of a game, you see people like, why are they playing that way? Why are they shell shocked? It's because they don't face it every day in practice. Yeah,
I want to make sure I tweeted it, so I just want to make sure I had the right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
that's
it. Appreciate it.
100%. And I've seen guys surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, against Clemson guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel great about it. We had Landon Sanders is back from his shoulder injury, so he'll be back full contact, ready to go. Probably could have gone in the spring, but just decided for the better of it not to do it. Just get that thing, get his shoulder as healthy as he could. And then Tyler Venables will be back. He had surgery on his pectoral muscle, so doing bench press towards pec. So he'll be back full speed. So I'll have a full slate when we get started in August.
You don't like injuries, but it helped bring guys like Jeadyn Lukus, right? It
sure, yeah. The thing here it's a developmental program here, and next man up. And our guys do a great job of getting themselves ready in the film room, in the weight room, and preparing themselves. So, it was great for JP. It was great to get Koval in there and get some work. He's a guy that got in there this spring and did a really good job too.
Mickey, when you're looking at people like Makuba and Trent Simpson, Barrett Carter, and some others, is the versatility of this entire defense maybe rare?
Yeah, and then you throw R.J. Mickens in the mix too, and Tyler Venables in the mix. Those guys can do a lot of different things. Malcolm Green, you got guys that can play a lot of different positions, and it gives them a chance to get in there and play, and it gives us a chance as coaches to use them versus different personnel groups that'll help us be successful. And all those guys you're talking about can really, really run. And change direction. And it's a credit to them for getting in the film room and learning it and learning the different spots.
Coach, when you got somebody like Nolan Turner that leaves the NFL, how does this position group as a whole kind of replace that kind of experience that he brought to the table?
He gave us such great leadership, and those guys have just been sitting under him humbly and patiently waiting for their opportunity. Those guys are ready to go. You take a guy like Jalen Phillips that has really benefited from Nolan's leadership, and just seeing how Nolan came up too. He was a 2-star guy that everybody thought was just a charity to be here, and he turned out to be an all-conference, all-American type player, and but those guys have really learned from him, and I've seen them take on some leadership roles, that he left behind, just kind of paving the way.
Andrew told us in the spring, he's like, you may see me at safety, you may see me at nickel, you might see me at dime, you might see me all over the field.
You might see him at corner too. He can, Makuba can do a lot of things. When you got a physical guy like that can run, he's a matchup problem for offenses because he can match up with your best guy and cover him. And a lot of guys, that's what they want to do. They want to get a matchup with a linebacker or safety, and Makuba's a guy that can cover. He covers like a corner, but he hits like a linebacker.
Is he more comfortable closer to the line?
I think he's comfortable anywhere on the field. He's a really good player. Maybe even return some kicks and punts. Who knows? So he can.
A guy like that is the ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year. What's kind of, as a coach, what do you tell him? How do you take him further than where he already is?
Well, he wants to get better. And that's a credit to the culture that Coach Sweeney's set up here. We get those kind of kids. He sees himself. he's proud of those accolades, but he wants more. He wants to do more. He wants to do better. So it's not really hard, getting him in the weight room and in the film room. So, he's hungry to be better.
What has it been like for your relationship with what's this new role as defensive coordinator? How have you all grown as a pair to carry into the new season?
Well, it's been great. We've been, since he came back from the NFL, we've been great friends and been in there working together. So nothing's really changed other than, our voice is a little bit louder now. So, but as far as us working together, it's been great. Wes is a humble guy, and we collaborate really well together. There's really no egos involved in it.
What's the biggest thing you learned from last season, just you personally as a coach?
Biggest thing I learned. Well, probably on the, I was doing special teams last year. Probably the biggest thing I learned is man, you got to really develop depth. We lost that whole. It was like we had a different punt team every single week in protection. You lose Brian, you lose. It was like a different guy in that shield every week, and learned how to develop people on the punt team. That's for sure.
Mickey, what returns have you done just on Kylan so far?
On Kylan Griffin, yeah. So he just got here 2 weeks ago. So just hungry, and he's in the film room and just learning. He's got a lot to learn. So a long way to go, but a good athlete, tested well. So excited about him. You know how it is for young guys. They got it's a lot to learn. He's going to be fine though because he wants it.
How excited is Landon? He's fought all these issues to finally get back out there and have that shoulder finally help.
Yeah, Landon's he's super excited. He's worked for it. Unfortunately, in the very first game of the year last year, he comes up and he lays a great lick on the guy and boom, there goes his shoulder. But I think he's really excited. He had a great spring, minus the contact stuff. We didn't do any contact with him, but he was in all the coverage things that we did. So super excited. Can't wait to watch him fly around. It'll be good.
Did he have surgery?
He did. So 2 years ago, he tore his labrum, and he fought through the whole year with a torn labrum. I don't even know how many people knew that, but played with it. And then went ahead and had the surgery at the end of the season. Comes back, misses the spring, does all that, get to the Georgia game, and first series he's in, hits a guy, and hit him hard, tore his labrum, and we just decided instead of trying to, endure this for the whole season, let's go ahead and have the surgery now, and let's go all the way through August with it, and then bring you back. So but yeah, he had surgery, 2 weeks after the injury last year.
Was it the same side?
Yeah.
I know it's not your position, but how rare of a talent is Nate Wiggins just from what you...
Nate Wiggins is super talented. Yeah, he's really, really good. People gonna enjoy watching him play. Really good. I don't know how rare it is, but he's a really good player.
Can you just maybe elaborate on what?
Well, he's got length, which you love in a corner, so he can cover all the tall guys. All these receivers now are 6'4", 6'3". So you definitely got him. He's a matchup problem for offenses, and he can run. And it's rare to find a guy with his length that can change direction and cover man-to-man like he can. He covers like an NFL corner, like an A.J. Terrell. You start putting him in that category with
Mickey, in the past, you've had a bunch of hybrid guys back there, guys like Isaiah Simmons you can throw back there and move them around. You've had guys that you can move in the corner and bring them back out the cover, like Kayvon Wallace and guys like that. Who's the guy this year that's going to maybe move between the two groups of Green?
Well, yeah, Malcolm Green's a guy that'll play. He'll play the nickel and the corner. And then you got Andrew Makuba, who can play the safety, the nickel, and the corner. Then you got R.J. Mickens, who can play both safeties and the nickel. Then you got Landon Sanders, who can play both safeties and the nickel. So I've got, and then Tyler Venables now he'll play the boundary safety and the nickel. So you got a lot of guys that'll be fighting this summer, for those jobs and those opportunities, and whoever can cover the best, whoever can grasp the defense the best. And, some guys can cover better man, some guys can play better zone, and it's our job as coaches to develop them to improve on their weaknesses, obviously, but we got a lot of smart guys, and a lot of really good athletes that can do a lot of multiple things. We've got Barrett Carter who can play the nickel and play inside. You got Trenton Simpson who can play inside and outside and defensive end and rush off the edge. Got guys like Xavier Thomas and KJ Henry and Miles Murphy who can come off the edge, but they can drop into pass coverage. We got a lot of multiple guys, I think more so than when Kayvon was having to do a lot of different things. I feel like we got more guys that can do that. And then, that was my whole thought process coming in, as a position coach. I don't want guys just to be able to play one spot. I want them to be able to move around, so we can get our best players on the field. Jalen Phillips can, he can play the boundary safety. He can play the strong and the nickel. When he first came in, he was training with Kayvon. He was working with Kayvon at the strong and the nickel. So he learned all that. And then, last year just kind of moved him back there to free safety and just put him into that boundary because he's such a physical safety over there.
Is he the older statesman now?
Well, he and Landon both came in together at the same time. But yeah, he's really taken on the leadership role for sure.
That 2018 defense speaks for itself, but I get the feeling you guys might think this defense is faster. Is this the fastest group overall you've had since you've been here?
I think so. Just looking around, it's a really fast defense, especially those linebackers. Man, those linebackers can really run, and we got guys in a lot of spots that can run, and that's what you want. And up front, we can really run. Xavier Thomas, those guys coming off the edge are really fast, and then Brian Brzee coming back inside. And Big Root, Miles Murphy. There's going to be a lot of speed. We just need to get out of the way and let them run.
It seems like there were times last year you had to go to Danny Poole and go, who have I got today?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're exactly right. There were a lot of injuries last year, and especially up front, a lot of guys out and having to. But that's going to benefit us this year because a lot of those guys got to play last year. Big Rook, he did an excellent job coming in last year. Now he's going to be a big time player for us.
You have all this. You mentioned versatility, speed, all these kind of adjectives to describe your defense. How does it make your life potentially easier for crafting a game plan for a certain team when you have all this sort of talent information in your defense?
Well, we need to make sure that we don't. Move too many pieces. Number one, we got to make sure that we hone in on what they're best at. But it's exciting as as co-defensive coordinator. It's exciting, and I feel like I'm not handcuffed. If everybody can stay healthy, knock on wood, we can play a lot of guys, which is what we want to do. That's Coach Sweeney's whole philosophy is development and playing guys and. So that's our goal on defense is to get a lot of guys in there. And that's why we've trained them to play different spots so we can get them in.
Is this the most physical bunch of safeties you have so far since you've been here?
Well, they got a chance to be. Tanner Muse was pretty physical safety. Kayvon's pretty physical, but these guys they like to hit. So, JP's a big-time hitter. Just keep, continue, and he's really worked on his coverage, man skills, which I've seen really improve. Makuba will hit, but yeah, we got a lot of physical guys, and that's what we want them to be. That's one of our plans to win is to be more physical than our opponent, and you got to do it with physical safeties. We got them.
Tyler Venables, where is he in his rehab?
So he's back. So he'll be good to go when we start in August. So I'm excited about that. He's a physical safety too. I think it's huge. You got a guy that has a lot of experience. He's played a lot of games, and I think it's huge to get him back. He can do a lot on special teams as well. And most of your special teams are made up of your safeties and linebackers. So the more of those guys we can get involved with that, with special teams, is going to be good too. But he has a great knowledge of the defense and, and a lot of playing experience. So that's going to help. it's going to help us.
A little surprised when he decided to stay instead of following.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I thought that he might go with his dad, but I'm proud that he stayed, and I'm thankful that Coach V trusts me, with his son. I feel responsible, to help develop him not only on the field as a player, but off the field as a young man too. Because his dad's entrusted me with that. So very grateful to Coach V for this opportunity to work with Tyler.
His teammates, what did they think about it? What does it say about him to come back?
Well, he's got a lot of friends on the team, and I think that was a big part of him staying. To be here with his friends. I mean, that whole recruiting class, and staying with those guys. I think his roommates, with DJ and Brian Brzee and RJ Mickens, they're a really tight group. So, those guys are excited to have him back. I know Wes and I and Coach Swain, we're excited to have him back.
Talking to Coach Paul about Wes, I said, is there, one story that you can tell about his recall? Is there one for you, like he was saying, hey, he can go back to 2013 and remember certain things? Is it, one time that you can go?
For me, the most is just he's got a photographic memory, and just what he can see within the play, and be able to write it down. I mean, the guy, he wasn't even in the press box; he was on the field and writing down what the players on offense and what the players on defense did, and then give it to Coach V and show the defense. I mean, it's like us filming with a camera. I mean, he could vividly see it and just have a photographic memory. And to me, it's probably the most impressive thing I've seen from him.
So when you're in the box, what information are you relaying to him pre-snap?
Well, first off, I'm giving the personnel, so he'll know if it's 11, 10, 12, 21, 22, 23 personnel. Then it's the formation. All right, here's the formation, and then if I recognize the formation being a pass or a run formation, I'll give him an idea on that. Then watching the play, just watching, did our defense do what they were supposed to do? Did the linebackers get their drops right? Did we bust a coverage? Hey, Wes, we need to get this guy out. Let's get this other guy in. He ain't getting it, whatever. But those are the things that I'm relaying. Hey, it's 3rd down and 10. Hey, it's 3rd and 5. Hey, remember on 3rd and 1, we like to do this. Hey, it's early down. You hadn't called this in a while. So just giving him the idea, hey, because I'm keeping up with the different calls that we're calling on the field. We hadn't called something in a while. Hey, man, on 1st down, you hadn't called this. This is in our playbook. We need to get this in. Hey, you've called this the last 3 times on 2nd down, in 10. We need to try something different. They're going to be ready for it. Just kind of refreshing his memory on what's going on. Just keep him clued in on it.
How smooth did that work in the ballgame?
I thought it was great. I thought it went really well. I didn't feel like there were really any hiccups. In fact, it felt even better than it did during the season.
Does that help get the plays in faster too? The fact that he can recall and you're helping him?
Oh, no question. No question. I didn't get and I'm helping him with that too. Hey, look, it's hurt. You can tell when it's no huddle, hurry up. Hey, they're going fast right here. Get the call. Let's go. Or hey, they're gonna hard count you right here. Just hold the call. Those are things that we're relaying to him. And there's a whole team of us. It's not just me. I mean, there's a whole group of us on defense that are helping him with that.
What are your responsibilities as a coach, defensive coordinator? How exactly will your relationship work with Coach Goodrich?
Well, our defense, we work really well together anyways, just as a group. I think I don't think a lot's going to change. We work really well together. We bounce ideas off of each other all the time. Obviously, he's going to be calling. He's got the final play call. But, I'm, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to be helping him with personnel groupings, formations, ideas, things that we have on the play sheet we hadn't called. I'm going to remind him of those things that he's called too many times. I'm going to tell him, hey, look, it's too many. And he's humble enough to understand that and grasp it and listen. And that's what Coach Swinney wanted when he brought us in to tell us how we were going to do it. That's how he wanted it done. And he wants us to do it together. But at the end of the day, you got to have one final voice, and that'll be Wes on the play call.
Can you give me an idea as to the differences between Coach Venables and Coach Goodrich?
Well, night and day, probably. Yeah, I mean, Coach V is full of energy and just very intense, all the time. Wes is a little more cerebral, but not that he's not as intense. Maybe outwardly, inwardly, he's still as intense, but he's always, Wes is always thinking of the next move, what we're going to do. I think he, simplify things a little bit more as far as putting things in categories. When you do things as long as Coach V does, you just kind of stack things on top of things, and in his mind it works. I think in his mind it's a little bit more organized.
From the defense, this start or maybe a point of emphasis or
From the defense, I don't know, I would love to see the retention from the spring. I'd love to see that we've retained what we worked through all spring. And, the guys have worked really hard in the weight room, so I'd love to see how in shape they are when we get started, because the less we got to do as far as conditioning, the better we can work on what we got to do football-wise. So, conditioning and retention are probably the two biggest things. I was really pleased with Sherrod. I thought he had a great spring. He's got the physical abilities. He needs to the mental part of it. He's still got a lot to learn back there, but he's a great cover guy and he can hit. And I love his physicality. And he just got to learn. He's just got to learn a few things. So I'm not having to tell him what to do from the sidelines. Say that again.
Who in the NFL does Makuba?
Who would remind me of Makuba? I don't know. That's a great question. Makuba can do a lot of things, but he's a super talent for sure. I don't know who I would compare him to.
Coach Goodwin, he's a younger guy, realistically, from coaching perspectives. Can you give me an idea as to how someone, that shows that he has a degree of talent, degree of know-how from just a young age for a coach. So can you give me an idea as to how what is so special about Coach Goodwin?
Well, I think he's been around. Number one, he's been around a lot of really good coaching. Been around a lot of good coaches, and I think he's very humble and willing to listen and learn. I think his ability to listen and learn and his humility probably separates him from most coordinators.
Coach Goodwin told us y'all are neighbors. Are you guys? Is he knocking down your door at late hours of the night trying to say, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen this?
No, he'll send me some messages from time to time, but. Last night he had some leftover chicken wings, and I went over and picked them up. But he's got two little girls, and they just got two new dogs, and we love them to death, and we love having them over, or we like going over to their house. But they're just good family.
At the end of the day, it's a new era of Clemson defensive football. I mean, the expectation's going to be the same, but it's a new person that's leading the charge. I guess the thing that it comes back to is the expectation still not changing, right?
Oh yeah, the expectation is to keep the other team from scoring, and that's and have an aggressive approach, and that's not going to change. That's not going to change at all. We've learned a lot from Coach V. He did an unbelievable job here. Putting this defense on the map and putting it together, and he's taught all of us, and so we're going to keep it going. Hopefully, that's the plan. Stay aggressive.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Last year, what did Coach Swinney do to kind of? There's a lot of talk that for Clemson, 10 wins is somehow a down year. How did he? I know he had that rant, a while ago. to appreciate? Did you get a sense that he was?
Well, I think that his leadership was the difference. I mean, he never gave up, and every day was like we were playing for the national championship. It didn't matter, and I think that his attitude, which is the very first thing we talk about in our all-in book, is attitude. I think his attitude shaped the whole team, the staff, the players, and just kept us motivated and kept us going. The fact that he didn't give up, he wasn't giving up, he wasn't looking to next year. He was wanting to still accomplish his, whatever, winning the day, was the big thing, and that's what separates him as a head coach from most head coaches is that attitude and that belief in his players and his coaches.
Do you have an example of Wes's crazy memory at work? I've heard that it's really good. He can recall stuff.
Yeah, he can recall a lot. I mean, the guy's drawn up that he draws up plays and been on the computer and doing that for a long time for a lot of coordinators. For me, it's daily for the game wise, just the photographic memory, being able to draw up the offense, the defense, seeing it one time and being able to draw up what every position does. I think is the most amazing thing for me watching him.
Tom Bishop said that they have a coaching tree growing. Other coaches out there now at other schools, they have changed up a lot of their terminology and signaling and things like that. I'm just curious if you give me a window into whether on the defensive side y'all had to change.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've changed up a lot of our terminology and packaging, signals, all that changes. But I mean, we've been doing that even when Coach V was here. We would do that game to game. I mean, we were changing signals, and that's part of the madness behind the defense too, that keeps the guys alert. I mean, if you keep it the same and it stays dull on them, they get bored with it. You lose a little intensity, you lose some of that emotion. And I think spicing it up, changing signals, making them think, all those things are important to keep the intensity level up in the player. And so for us, we're continuing to do that. He could play anywhere in the secondary he wants to play. Corner, safety, nickel. He's physical like a linebacker, and he covers like a corner. And that's what makes him really special.
What advantages does he give you on the back end, though, when you guys do play in the safety?
What is he what?
What advantages does he give you on the back end when you actually do play in the safety?
Safety? Well, he's a great tackler and a great cover guy. So a lot of offenses, they want to isolate their skill slot receivers. They want to isolate them on safeties and linebackers. And you got a safety like Makuba that covers like a corner. That neutralizes that matchup, makes and really gives us an advantage.
Yeah, what do you think is Sherrod about his physicality? I mean, how ultra physical is he?
Yeah, he's really physical. I mean, he comes out of his hips. He loves to hit. But he, the thing that surprised me this spring is his ability to cover. I think he can cover really well too. It's all up to him. I mean, he needs to, he needs to continue to grow mentally in as far as the film work and learning the playbook and those things. He's still got a lot to learn there. So we'll see how much work he put in the offseason, learning those things and how fast that transitions. Because when you get out on the field, things happen really, really fast, and you got to know the defense like the back of your hand. Absolutely, he can be a great special teams player.
How close is Landon Sanders to what he was a couple of years ago?
Landon will be back full speed. So he's had the surgery, and we did no contact this spring. So just to give him some more time. So I think he's going to be good to go.
Is it one thing you're most excited about for this season?
Just to get started. I'm just ready to go. I don't know if that answers the right answer, but I'm just excited to get started and get going and get to working with the guys again, get back with them.
Okay, hope those were some informative conversations and reflections on the offensive line, the cornerbacks, and the safeties. As usual, no shortage of interesting subplots going into the 2022 season. Going to be a lot of fun. Appreciate our sponsors for their support. And, of course, thanks to all of you for hitting that play button. Everybody take care. Cheers.